Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and today I'm going to share with you how to make my rosemary orange lime biscuits. So let's get started with our recipe today. So I'm going to start out with my all-purpose flour. I need 4 cups of that. So I'm going to get that measured into my pan here. So I've got a little sifter here and I'm going to use that along with my other ingredients. 4 cups of all-purpose flour. All right, now that we've got our flour in here, we're going to add our other ingredients. I've got 2 tablespoons of baking powder. I've got a half a teaspoon of baking soda. And then if you haven't checked out my other video on how I make this rosemary orange lime salt, I'll put that link in that description box below. I'll show you what this looks like. This looks really nice. It is a nice seasoning for these biscuits. And what I've got for our recipe today, I've got 1 tablespoon of my seasoning plus 1 teaspoon of salt. So on top of the salt that's in this, I put 1 teaspoon. So I've got a tablespoon of my dry ingredients and another teaspoon of salt in here. And we're just going to kind of sift this through. All right, now that we've got that sifted through, I'm going to go ahead and get my butter out now. The butter needs to be as cold as you can possibly keep it. So I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to go grab my butter and we'll move on to our next step. All right, I just removed 2 sticks of unsalted butter from the refrigerator. So I'm going to go ahead and open those up. Now I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to slice this up and we're going to quarter this. So each one of these we're going to put into a quarter. So you should have 4 pieces. I'm going to add that now to my flour mixture. And I'm going to continue to do this with the other stick. All right, now that we've got our butter cut up, we now want to just kind of take your clean hands and just we're going to go in there and we're going to cover all of those pieces with flour. All right, now that we have all of our pieces covered, we're going to take our fingers and you just want to take each one of those pieces and just kind of smash it. And we're going to break this up until all of this gets incorporated into the flour. You want some big pieces and some small pieces. You want it to kind of have the consistency of what it looks like cornmeal is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to work on this. And if you feel that it's getting too soft, you can definitely pop it back in the refrigerator. And that way you can keep it as cold as you can possibly get your butter. So I'll work on this and I'll show you what this looks like when we get back. I've got my flour and butter combined together now and I wanted to show you what that looked like. You can see here it kind of has the consistency of what I would consider cornmeal. And I've still got some big pieces of butter in there. That'll be nice when you bake that. That butter will melt and give you some nice pockets in your layers of your biscuits. So definitely leave some behind, but incorporate the bulk of the butter. All right, I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for a few minutes while I get my buttermilk ready and I'll be right back. I am back and my flour and butter stayed in the refrigerator for about 5 minutes just to get that chill back down a little bit because working with my hands, it needs a little warm. So definitely keep that as cold as you can get it. And then I've measured out 2 cups of buttermilk and we're going to incorporate that into our mixture now. So I've got just a spatula and at this point we just want to bring it together. We don't actually want to knead this. We're not making bread. And so the best way for me to explain for biscuits is the less you mess with it and develop the gluten in the flour, the better off and softer your biscuits are going to be. So we just want this to be brought together. And we want to get all of that buttermilk out of there. And we're just going to kind of fold this all together. All right, I've got this folded together. I wanted to show you what that looked like. It's not come together yet. That's what we're going to do when we put it on the seal mat. I found that this is the best thing that you could possibly do for your biscuits. So if you've got one of these, definitely bring that out. If you don't have one, I'm not advocating you to get one, but it does make life a little bit easier. If you don't have one, then definitely flour your surface that you're going to be working on with a little bit of flour. And then we're going to take our biscuit dough and we're going to turn it out onto the counter here. All right, as you can see here, I've got my dough turned out on the counter and we're just going to take the mat and we'll put just a little bit of flour on the top just so that it doesn't really want to stick to the top. You might have to add just a little bit more to it eventually. But what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the sides here and we're just going to pull it in and pull it back. And that works so much easier than standing there trying to put this dough together with that. So just come up on the corners and just push it in on top of itself until it gets pulled together. We're not kneading it. We're just pulling the dough together on itself. All right, now that we've got it turned on itself, we want to kind of double it over on itself, and we're going to do that about 5 or 6 times. So what we're going to do is just pull up on one side of it, double it over, and this is what's going to make your layers for your biscuits. So as you can see there, that kind of stuck a little bit to the pan. That's okay. Just take a little bit of flour and then take your hand and we're going to push it back down again. You want to kind of keep it in this kind of a shape that we've got here, which is kind of a rectangle kind of a shape. And that way, when you turn it in on itself, you just keep building those layers on that. So now that we've got that, just pull up on one end of it and pull it to the other side until it comes over on itself. And I'm going to move it away from this edge to the middle. All right, and then we'll just take it and we're going to do that again. We're going to do that 5 or 6 times. All right, now that we've got our dough ready to go, it's about 1 inch thick all the way around. I'm going to take a baking tray that I've got, and I'm going to spray just a little bit of spray in it. If you've got the spray that's in the can, you can do that. If you haven't seen this video on what this is, I'll put the link in the description box. It is a lifesaver. You can just keep refilling that all the time and you don't have to buy those cans anymore. So I've got a biscuit dough cutter here. You can use any side you want. I believe this is close to 3 inches. You can use a 2-inch one if you want to. I'm just going to take a little bit of flour and I'm going to dip it down into the side of it there so that it doesn't stick. And what you want to do is you want to push straight down. You don't want to twist it, and you want to pull the biscuit away, because if you twist it, you have a chance on breaking those layers up. And I'll show you what that looks like. You put a little bit of flour on my hand and pull that up. And you can see all those layers that we built by moving that around on that tray. So we're just going to set that there on our baking dish, and we're going to continue to cut these out. If you need to reapply a little bit of flour, you definitely can do that. That way it won't be sticking to you as you push down into those layers on those biscuits. All right, now that you've got all your biscuits cut out, you've got a little bit left here. We want to shape that back into that same shape again. So again, you can use your mat to pull that together. Once you get that shaped back, we'll continue to use our biscuit cutter. All right, so I've got just a little bit of biscuit dough here. I'm going to make that into one, and we'll just do this one freeform. All right, there we go. I've got my biscuits on my pan. I've got them pretty close together. That way when they rise up, they'll rise into each other. And that way they won't fall over and they'll get a nice rise. If they're spread out on the pan, they might not rise as high as you would like to normally let them rise. So you can do one or two things. You can go ahead and put these in the oven and bake them now, 425 for between 10 to 15 minutes. We want those to come up to a nice rise and a nice brown. If you're not ready, you put these in the refrigerator and leave them in there until you're ready to bake them. If you want to make these ahead and freeze them, put some parchment paper or wax paper in the bottom of the tray. Go ahead and put your biscuits in, freeze them, and then take them out, put them in a baggie, and you've got them ready to go in the future when you're in a crunch for time and you don't have time to make these. So you got several options there. You can go ahead and bake them too, and if you make a big batch like this, put those in the freezer that's baked, and that way when you're ready to have one, you can pull it out, put it in the microwave, and then you're ready to go. You've got a nice biscuit. So stick with me. I'll be back and we'll show you what these look like when they're ready. I am back and I've got my biscuits out of the oven. I wanted to show you what these look like. These are absolutely incredible. And then I've got a little bit of butter here that I've melted, and I'm just going to take a brush and just brush some butter over the top of all of them. All right, I got them off my tray now. I've got them on a serving platter, and like I said earlier, you can go ahead and eat these now. You can put them in the freezer for another day. Just freeze them, and then you can take them out, thaw them out, and you've got some nice, wonderful biscuits. I wanted to show you what these look like on the sides here. See all those layers that are built up on that? These are absolutely beautiful, and look at that when you open those up, how nice and flaky those really are. You can put a sausage, egg, and cheese on it and make you a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, or just put some honey and some butter on it. Any of that would be really good. Let's give this a try and see what this tastes like. Those are absolutely delicious. That seasoning that I put in those could not be any better. Absolutely good. Leave me a comment in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you on if you made this recipe, what you think about the seasoning in it and the biscuits. I know you're going to love these because they are just tasty. The smell, they're so aromatic with those extra flavors in there of that rosemary, that lime, and that orange. You can really smell that's coming through, and you can taste it when you give it a taste. I hope you like this content. If you do, maybe you might consider giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And check out one of these other two videos over here on the side. You might find something else you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.